Toei, a popular internet artist, earned themselves a fair bit of fame with their striking works of art depicting gargantuan fauna and the landscapes around them. The way that they portray size and scale is breathtaking and highly detailed. Toei asks the question, why spend so much time designing a colossal creature and not show the catastrophe around it? Many of these monsters feel familiar in feeling or form to us, and those that aren't are depicted in a way that feels just a tad out of touch of reality, waiting at the doorframe of a soon-to-be-forgotten dream. Terrifying, lumbering, and hulking, a majority of Japan calls these entities kaiju. Toei calls them harmful super beasts. Join us here at the Booey Book Club headquarters as we observe and report on the Harmful Super Beast trilogy.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome back to another episode of Booey Book Club. This episode, we are going to be talking about the 3 books in the Super Beast series by artist Toei.
How do you feel about monsters?
I love some monsters. I love some great monster design, and these books are packed full of super wonderful monster design.
I'm going to agree with you.
Overall, for being art books, these are super high quality. I love the paper texture of the cover. I love how it feels. I love the design of the illustrations. I love how he's able to do a lot of dark pictures, a lot of nighttime stuff, but still very distinguishable. He has a very unique art style, but what's crazy about it is he could create so much over a wide spectrum. Some of the stuff in the books is I guess cute for being giant rabbit or giant peaceful looking goat, but then just ravenous miscellaneous blob thing with eyes or just pissed off kaiju.
There's a lot of range, and I think it's cool that it seems like this artist kind of plays on different things, ranging from megalophobia, just that general, big things are scary to people, to, like you said, there's things that are almost based on real-life animals versus really out there, obscure, abstract stuff. So it's cool that somebody's able to express that amount of different things.
So you were super helpful. So you did a little bit of research on the artist themselves?
I sure did.
Okay.
Let me tell you the total sum of information that is available about this artist online.
Sure.
Absolutely nothing.
Excellent.
Fucking nothing.
I guess.
I don't know gender. I know they're a Japanese illustrator. That is the only thing that I can find. This artist has a total of 4 books in this series, and that's all I can find. They all seem to be out of print and difficult to get and somewhat expensive. They have a Twitter that they are not very active on. One thing that I thought kind of illustrated their personality really well that I kind of liked is they shared a story on Twitter. I'm going to use they just because I don't know what gender they are.
Yeah, that works best. I think I've seen a picture of them once, but we'll just go with they.
I couldn't even find a photo.
Cool.
They shared a story in which they wanted to get their nephew to eat carrots, and the nephew hated carrots and didn't want to eat them. And so the artist told the nephew that there was a tiny horse inside his stomach that was hungry, and so he better eat the carrots in order to feed the horse. And that resulted in the child freaking out and crying.
Yeah.
And I think that was a very good representation of just kind of what's going on in that brain. And I think that translates really well to kind of the content of these books. I thought that was just kind of a fun thing.
Yeah, I tried to do some research also and their larger body of work. Mm-hmm. And from what I understand is I think he has 3 of these books. He has I don't know if it's going to be a long-term thing. He's got also 1 or 2 volumes of a manga with an ongoing series, and then I think they're also doing like a tabletop game involving the property.
Interesting.
So I'm guessing maybe what you've seen, that fourth book was probably one of the manga.
So I'm not totally sure what I found. I figured out what order these ones were released in, and what years they were released, and then the one that we're missing was from 2023.
Interesting.
And they described it as volume 4, and the nomenclature of the titles is in line with the rest of these.
Okay.
So I thought it was in the same
maybe
line.
maybe I need to do some hunting and check that one out. Okay.
But yeah, I was really surprised with how little information I could find. I don't know if that's intentional, if that's because it's, some artists and just aren't super known outside of their home country. Is it because they're trying to be mysterious? I mean, I think that's
Sure.
kind of in line with what some artists want to do, that don't want to share a lot of personal information. But I was a little bit surprised at how difficult
Sure.
it was to find anything.
Sure. And maybe their online presences, whatever. I guess if they got a gig doing like manga and then tabletop game, like maybe they're involved in the production phase and maybe not doing so much.
I also took into consideration that in Japan, they're, I think, frequently using things more like Line or other websites that aren't
Sure.
necessarily as ubiquitous here
Sure.
in America. So
Yeah.
it could be that they
Yeah.
have a much larger presence in their home country than they do here.
Sure. Alrighty. I guess did you want to talk about I guess some of our highlights of these series of books?
Absolutely. So I picked out ones that I was really interested in, specifically pictures that really kind of spoke to me, that I thought were really unsettling or interesting. And I'm interested to see which ones you selected.
Sure.
I also had an honorable mention because
That's
I
fine.
really struggled in
Okay.
one book with two that I was stuck between. So, would you like me to start?
Yeah, that's fine. You got your notes up, so you can run down your list. That's
Okay.
cool.
So from what I could find, the first book that came out was the book with the red title, and that one is Top Secret Report. Harmful Super Beast Top Secret Report. The one that I picked out of that particular book is number 5, and it's Toshu. And it is a kind of interesting, like, large scale thing. I think I definitely learned that I have kind of that icky, really, really big things are really, really scary. And I liked, so each one has kind of a piece of text underneath it or with it that is supposed to be a quote from somebody. The whole concept is that all of a sudden these creatures show up in everyday life. And it's interesting that everything is kind of consistent in a story that arches across all of them. Like, how would we respond to that? How would the military respond? How would civilians respond? And so looking at things from that frame of context.
Yeah, it's cool that it's kind of, and even the art kind of shows that it's not just the monster. It's kind of where the monster is, or what the monster is doing to like everyday boring landscape and that kind of stuff.
So this specific one, the text that was with it, I really liked. And this one says, "It seems that the things that we've been trampling on are now coming to trample on us."
That's a great quote. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that was part of why I picked it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes from the book. So
Yeah, I really liked that one. And I thought that was a good kind of vibe for the entire series.
yeah.
Yeah.
What else you got?
So the second book that was released then was the one in yellow, and that is Harmful Super Beast Top Secret Story. The one that I picked from there is this crazy kind of image of a car driving up an empty road, and there's a large, almost horse-shaped creature at the end of the road with kind of glowing eyes. This one's called Shiki, Autumn version. And the quote with this one says, "After regaining his own head, Shiki begins to shake his mane and cut everything in half." This is another one where the scale of the creature itself is really, really large compared to everything around it. it kind of reminded me of Scottish folklore, the Kelpie, which is another depiction of kind of this horse-shaped creature that's dangerous to humans. What's interesting, though, is Shiki translates to basically what we consider a vampire in English language.
Okay.
It means corpse demon, and it's always associated with, like, feeding on blood. In a very literal translation, it also means to use or to form, kind of like in a creation standpoint.
Sure.
But I thought that was interesting naming and just a really kind of spooky picture. So, yeah.
All right. So, what's your last pick?
My,
Or your second to last pick?
My second to last one was from the Orange Book, which came out in 2022.
Book.
And that one is Harmful Super Beast Top Secret Plan. I picked in this one number 30, which is Komio. And this one is... This one's very interesting because I like the way that the eyes and everything are depicted in this one. So Komio translates to luminous light. There's also mantra of light. It's the light of the moon and the light of the stars. So everything is around light. And it says, the tail lights that I could see up ahead suddenly appeared in the sky, looking down at me. No, glaring at me. It's kind of another good quote. And it's almost like this car driving ahead, and you can tell the eyes on this creature look like what would be red taillights on a car. And as they get closer, they realize it's the eyes of the creature, not a car at all. So finally, my honorable mention. This one was number 7, and this one's called Gaito. And this one says, if you notice the arrangement of streetlights is different than usual, it is best not to use that road. And this is almost similar to the same theming of the last one, in that you see this individual kind of walking down this dark road. There's no real context. You don't know if it's a country road or a city or where they are. It's just kind of desolate. And you see each of the individual streetlights, and at the end there's 2 additional streetlights that are a little out of place. And again, that's the eyes on the creature. And I kind of like that, like very similar concepts, but really different images, and both really cool for different reasons. So,
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Can you help me with mine, please? I don't. You got my list up here. So
So you had 2 from the Red Book.
yes, Joku. See, I
It
don't.
was kind of like the dragon dinosaur guy.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Excellent. So the reason I picked Joku is because the book is about all of these harmful beasts, mutants, whatever monsters. He looks like he just kind of wants to help you out with traffic. So I think maybe that's I don't know. He might be doing you a favor. So maybe just don't come down this broken bridge like out of order. So
Yeah, that's funny. I like that one is almost a little bit more cartoony or comical than some of them.
Yeah.
Just showing again like ability and to grasp different styles.
Yes.
So then in the same book you had number 112.
Sure. That one I chose because it definitely reminds me of, I guess, horror game, Evil Within, Silent Hill, I guess maybe a more aggressive horror video game, Ghostwire Tokyo. But it is Security Division 4, Makeup Removed, and it is a female individual holding their head while their hands are turning blue, and their head basically morphing into a very floral flower chrysanthemum design, and the line art of just all of the little effects coming off the head is super crazy cool, like detailed. So
I did enjoy some of the ones that were humanoid based. I like that one particularly almost kind of reminds me of a combination of some like traditional yokai portraits along with like SCP almost.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. And
Then you had out of the yellow one number 22.
22. So this one really stood out to me. This was one that just kind of popped. And that is this female design, basically in a, I don't know, a shadow or some kind of thing. It's this long tunnel, and it's touching the edges of everything, and there's just vertebrae and horse, maybe cow skulls, just part of this mass, and it is just incredibly awesome looking. So
I really like that was one example. I found a couple different ones. I had picked out a separate one that I liked where the human looking figures in the book almost resemble a very similar art style to some of the Shin Megami art, and I actually really like that.
Yeah, I could easily see that being
an influence.
Yeah, that type of design.
I like that one because it's a interesting dichotomy with like this beautiful female character with this like kind of grotesque biologic mass.
Yeah,
it's cool.
All right, well, I guess we talked about our favorites. But yeah, overall, just amazing art. I am super glad I own these. When I discovered them, maybe a couple years back, I just needed them. I seen illustrations from the books, and yeah, I definitely enjoy them in my weird book collection.
I think they're definitely a good thing to flip through during spooky season.
Yeah. So I own them, obviously. So I took the time to secure them. How many buoys?
I'm actually going to give these 5 buoys out of 5.
5 buoys again. 5 siren sound.
And the reason for that is that they're super approachable and digestible. You can absolutely appreciate it 100% without needing to read any of the Japanese. So if that's not something that you want to put the work into, you don't have to.
What's really cool about them is there's not a lot of text per illustration, but Google Translate, for the most part, works pretty damn well nowadays. So it's almost like a weird, like, childhood goofy, like, interactive thing of just flipping through the book with your phone and secret decoding what it says. So yeah, I would say definitely check these out.
The text does add a lot of flavor, but it's absolutely not necessary.
So
the illustrations stand
yeah.
on their own perfectly well without it.
Yeah. So alrighty. I guess
we're looking forward to seeing you next time, that's for sure.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, and yeah, we've got 2 more episodes.